Wake up, people. We actually have people who have never been involved in the prison system, have no clue what really goes on behind bars, advocating why can't inmates have cell phones. We better watch out, because we're going to have some people trying to get this legal where inmates can have cell phones. I don't think it will ever happen, but I don't want to say ever or never. Not two good words to use, because the way things are going right now, it seems that people seem to be advocating more for inmates. Now, I'm a believer in fairness, not abusing inmates, giving them what they're allowed to have, giving them their medical and their dental, but they are not there to play Hollywood movie stars on their cell phones. And it really gets me when people say they should have a cell phone. It's communication with their family, and it builds their, their pride and keeps them closer to their family. Folks, for those of you that don't know this, and you should, they have phone calls they can make from the prisons. They now have tablets that they can write to their families with. Okay, you may not like some of the prices for the tablets. That's a whole other story. But they have these. They can still write letters to their families. There's a reason for all this, folks. And I'm going to tell you how many things these cell phones can be used for. And 99% of the cell phones that we find in the prisons and collect as contraband are not used for legal purposes. Are not used for legal purposes. We're trying to protect the inmates in the prison from danger. And you say, oh, well, what is a cell phone? That doesn't hurt them. Yes, it does. Gang-affiliated inmates put hits out on other inmates and inmates' families through the cell phone. They have contact with their gang members on the street, take care of inmate Jones' cousin, brother, uncle, sister, and then they go to inmate Jones and extort inmate Jones. You will have this much money sent to our bank account by one of your family members, or my people will take care of one of your people. You know, it's funny that I have to explain all this to some of the folks out there about why cell phones are dangerous in prison. But we have millions out there that think there's no problem with an inmate having a cell phone. I was just engaged in a conversation that's going very strong on LinkedIn right now. A professor from a college put on there, what can cell phones do in a prison? Not the professor knows that they're dangerous, and we have people putting comments on there. There's nothing wrong with cell phones. They don't hurt anything. Let them talk to their families. So it's very important to know how dangerous cell phones are. Now, for you officers or prison staff that break line and cross the line and introduce a cell phone into a prison, well, you deserve to be arrested and have a third-degree felony charge placed on you, because now you've placed all the people behind the bars in prison. Another example, escapes are coordinated with cell phones that inmates have. Listen, count time is such and such. Recreation time is such and such. I will be here. The officers are stationed here, here, and here. You have the vehicle parked out here in the woods, and I'm going to do this and that. And it's happened, folks. We get escapes every year in prisons throughout our country. A lot of them are orchestrated through smuggled cell phones. Now, what happens with an escape? Well, if the escape goes bad, the inmate hurts one of the officers. If the escape goes good and they escape, they will hurt people on the street, which they have done. They've killed people just to steal their cars so they can get away. They've broken into people's homes and raped and killed just to have a hideout. It happens. It's truth. But cell phones, what do they hurt? Well, this is another reason. So far we've talked about escapes. We've talked about putting hits on people. What about tax fraud? Before there was a lot of cell phones in the prisons being smuggled in one way or another. They had to get somebody in the prison to help them get the tax forms out, the fraudulent tax forms. Well, now you can have your outside contact do all the work because you're gathering information from people, from other inmates in the prison who are finding out about deceased people or people that aren't filing their taxes, and they're writing up fraudulent tax forms. They're giving the information to the people on the outside who can do all the work for them. Now, what happens? All the taxpayers' money is being used to send somebody a fraudulent tax return for $2,000. What does the inmate get? The inmate gets $800. And the people on the outside that filed the tax form get $1,200. Everybody makes money off these fraudulent tax forms. As I mentioned before, embezzlement in different ways. You can embezzle the inmates inside the prison. You can embezzle inmates' families with a cell phone. There's family members getting phone calls. Hi, I'm in your son's prison. You will send this much money to this place and this is happening. Now, hopefully they leave a paper trail, but what they're doing, they're using these burner phones that are smuggled in, and then they can get rid of it, and the money's being sent to certain accounts that can be closed out quickly. It's all a big scam, and it's all being done to innocent moms and dads on the outside through the use of these harmless cell phones. And this is just crazy. The use of a cell phone in prison can go beyond your wildest imagination. The inmates have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to think of how to use these cell phones to commit crimes. And you say, some of you, they're just calling their family to talk to them. Well, maybe they are calling their family to talk to them and doing all these other things. Or maybe their family's involved in all the criminal schemes they're working up. So they're calling their family to talk to them on how to get some money out of somebody, how to prepare an escape, how to hurt somebody. It's just unbelievable to me that people think cell phones are harmless in prison. And now we have phone calls they can make, and yes, they're monitored. They're monitored for the same reasons I just discussed earlier. Inmates' phone calls are monitored to keep crime down. So if we hear you talking about things you shouldn't be doing with your family, we take care of the problem. Safety and security first, not your inmates trying to commit crimes with cell phones. That's not first. That's last. When we catch them, we need to give them a third-degree felony and give them a new charge and let them plea out to another year and a day, or whatever the court deems necessary for those who are using cell phones in prison. They're also talking. I've had women report to me, I want this inmate investigated. I thought I was his only girlfriend. Turns out he called me and called me another name, and he has more girls. He's calling about 12 girls, I'm finding out. And he's getting money from me and all those girls. I want to place criminal charges on him. Well, you know, we'll do the investigation. You're the one sending him money of your own free will. So you might not get a criminal charge out of it, but we can put a stop to his shenanigans and get the cell phone away from him and take disciplinary measures, and then warn all 12 of you ladies who are sending money to this one inmate, tell you, be careful. That's what they do. You're not the only girlfriend. Be careful. They have a lot of girlfriends. Not all of them, I know. There's some inmates in there loyal to their wives, loyal to their girlfriends, but there's a whole bunch of them that are putting you ladies on the scam, and you need to watch out for them. All right, I think I've beaten this cell phone thing to death. This is why we do not allow cell phones in prison. They are dangerous. They are used to commit crimes. They are used to harm people. They are used for escapes that get people hurt. Please, wake up, America. Cell phones in prison are a no-no, and they need to stay that way forever. Thanks a lot. Gary York, True Prison Stories.